Good evening, everyone. If everyone could take their seats and get ready, we're about to begin. I'd like to thank you all for coming down this evening. As well, I'd like to thank the University of Calgary Freethinkers and Faith Beyond Belief for putting on this event. And to begin, I'd like to welcome Eric from the University of Calgary Freethinkers to introduce his group.
Thank you all so much for coming. This is a much bigger turnout than we ever would have thought, so we'll get a bigger room next time. I just want to say a quick word about who we are and what we do. The Freethinkers are a group of atheists, agnostics, and secular humanists on campus. We meet once a week to get together just as a social type of environment. We also put on events like we have a book club, we have movie nights, and we also advocate for issues on campus and issues that expand beyond that. I want to say, before we go on, that Jojo, who's going to speak for Faith Beyond Belief, have done a great job and have really put a lot of work into this, so they've really made this possible. So with that, I'll introduce Jojo.
My name is Jojo Ruba. I'm a youth pastor at a Filipino church in the Northeast here in Calgary, and I'm happy to say some of my youth group is here. Part of what we're doing is we want to be able to talk about what faith really is. So if I could just bear with me, just a small illustration. If I were to pass out a bowl of jelly beans around this room right now, could I do a little survey? How many of you would like the red ones the most? How about the yellow ones? Anybody? How about the black ones? There's always a couple. Wow, that's a lot more than usual. That's great. You know, if I were to pass it out, would it matter which jelly bean you chose? Not really, right? It's up to you, whatever preference you like. But what if I were to tell you that when we were pouring those jelly beans out, we accidentally mixed up what looked like jelly beans, but were actually laxatives? Would it matter then which one you chose? It would, wouldn't it? What if it wasn't laxatives? What if it was poison and making the wrong choice could be lethal? Would it matter then? I think so too. And Faith Beyond Belief is a group of Christians who've come together, who said, you know, when it comes to religious issues, a lot of people think it's a bowl of jelly beans. We can choose whatever flavor we like. But we think that there's good claims for faith. And that's why we named what we're doing here, Faith Beyond Belief. Because we think when it comes to faith issues, it's worth thinking about. Because the claims they're making aren't just ones that are true for us, or preference ones, but they're objective ones. And we could be wrong about that, but that's why we want to debate. That's why we want to be able to engage in ideas and hear the best from both sides. So I want to thank you all for coming and wanting to hear the best from both sides. I think we'll hear some great discussion tonight, and I want to thank you because you're willing to participate in great discussion. And I think we should give the Freethinkers a great hand as well for being willing to come and stand and get started. So, enough about me. Why don't we ask Ben to come back, and we should thank him too for moderating and get him to explain what's going to happen tonight. So Ben, welcome back.
Thank you both once again. So, this evening's debate topic is do objective moral truths exist? On the affirmative side, we have Greg Koukl. On the negative side, we have Professor John Baker. Greg Koukl is a prominent speaker and promoter of Christianity and the Christian worldview. He has been featured in Focus on the Family Radio, CBN, and the BBC. He is the author of more than 145 articles and 4 books. He is the founder of Stand to Reason, a Christian ministry. Greg received an MA in Apologetics from Simon Greenleaf University and an MA in Philosophy of Religion and Ethics from Talbot School of Theology. Dr. Baker teaches philosophy and ethics for the Department of Philosophy here at the University of Calgary. His research in recent years has focused on bioethics, issues of death and euthanasia, and the treatment of handicapped peoples. Dr. Baker focuses mainly in the field of cognitive philosophy and the study of ethics. Professor Baker received his MA and PhD in philosophy from Oxford University in England, where he taught for years before emigrating to Canada. The format for this evening's debate will be an 18-minute opening statement from starting with Mr. Coco and ending with Professor Baker. A cross-examination for 6 minutes, a 10-minute rebuttal, a 9-minute closing statement, and then Q&A from the audience. For the Q&A section, if those people who want to ask questions for Mr. Coco could line up behind this mic, and those people who would like to ask questions for Professor Baker could line up behind this mic, that would help things out quite a bit. The format of questions will be both speakers get to answer each question, but the person who the question is addressed to will get 2 minutes to answer, whereas his opponent will only get one minute to answer. So, for today's starting first word, I'd like to welcome Greg Coco to this stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming out on this cold, wet Calgary night. Thank you, Professor Baker, for being here. I have a very short time to convince you of a very controversial issue. In fact, I'm going to ask you to believe in something invisible. But I have something on my side. I actually think it's something you already believe in, but you don't realize it. And part of my job here tonight is to help you to do that. And what is that? That there are genuine, real, objective moral obligations. That there are actual evils. That there are true virtues. That there are genuine answers for our deepest moral questions. Admittedly, there's some confusion on this issue, and a number of years ago I was at a chiropractor's office where I asked a young woman who was prepping me to get cracked there at the office a question about morality. And I asked her, I said, do you think morality is objective in some sense, or relative, which is the topic of our discussion this evening? And she said, what do you mean by morality? I thought, well, this is not a good start. All right, right and wrong, what's good and bad, that kind of thing. And I realized that she was having a hard time getting started here. So I decided I'd use a clear case example to kind of get the ball rolling. So I asked her, is murder wrong? She said, well. I said, well, what? She said, well, I'm thinking. And I'm thinking, what's to think about there? That should be the obvious one. And she said, well, I think it just depends on what people think or do. And I thought, well, this is not a clear case example. So I said, is it okay to torture babies for fun? Well, and then she said this. She said, I wouldn't want anyone to do that to my baby. Now, is that the question I asked? What she would like or what she would prefer? No, I wasn't asking her preferences at all. I was asking about the action of baby torturing. But her response tells a vivid story. That she was not comfortable acknowledging that something even like baby torturing was an objective moral harm. Now, I suspect that this woman, if she is wakened in the middle of the night by the screams of a baby next door who is being tormented by the parents because of the pleasure it brought them, she would consider these people barbaric and would have called 911. In other words, she would have understood very quickly because of her moral common sense rose to the surface when the circumstance actually happened. However, when she had to kind of think about it, she wasn't able to come to the right answer. And I think this is a picture of what's going on in our culture today, and really the topic of our discussion this evening. It illustrates the question of the debate. Was she right? When morality is the issue, is it just up to the individual? Is it up to the individual person to decide? Or is it maybe up to the collective group to decide? Because there is no objective answer to moral questions. My position here is very simple. I'm here to defend the proposition that there are some things that are right in themselves and wrong in themselves, that some things are good and some things are bad, that there are true virtues, that there are genuine evils in the world. We may not always know exactly what those are. Decision-making, morally speaking, is a difficult challenge. But even so, there is an answer that can be found that is true even if there are people who happen to disagree with it. People who hold my view, by the way, are called moral realists or moral objectivists because we think that morality is objectively real. Obligations are real regardless of whether people agree on them or not.